Hey guys, it is April from Getting Hooked with It. Today we are doing the over 30 book tag. Let's get into it. So I have only one more year that I can do this tag, so I have to do it now. It's now or never because on Tuesday I'm turning 39. So yeah, if I don't do it now, I don't think an over 40 book tag exists yet because booktubers are so young in comparison to me. So it's now or never. So let's dive right into the questions. Question 1. Name one of your favorite books that features a protagonist 30 years or older. And one of my very favorite protagonists that I've encountered so far is Vivian in The Night Visitor. This follows two women, Vivian, who I love, and Olivia. And Olivia is this TV presenter. She's kind of glamorous. And I think she has written a biography and has used the help of Vivian. And she's accepting an award, or I think she's at the launch party and she's looking around terrified that Vivian's gonna show up. And that's the first scene. So you know that you're gonna be a little bit wary of Vivian, or Olivia's hiding something. Anyway, you meet Vivian and she's this middle-aged woman who works at a museum. She is curious, a bit socially awkward, and very tied to her dog. So much so that for a long time, her dog's name, oh God, what was her dog's name now? So this name is referred to several times at the beginning, and I thought, oh my gosh, she lost her husband, and it turns out that she lost her dog. And she's just very interesting kind of character. I really loved Vivian. I like characters that are a little bit maniacal, maybe, and also a little bit lovable too. That's kind of Vivian in a nutshell. Question 2. Name a book that represents who you were when you were younger. Now, I feel like when I mention this book, people are gonna go, ooh. And I don't know whether it's her or her friends or what have you, but there's something about this book that does remind me of my mid to late 20s, a little bit of early 30s. It's Queenie. I just recently read this and loved it. This follows a woman who lives in London, and she really allows men to treat her terribly. And it was very uncomfortable for me because there have been times in my life, not anymore, there were times in my life where I did not have enough self-confidence or self-respect to demand that I be treated with respect. And I just cared too much what guys thought of me. And that definitely takes place in Queenie. And it was hard to read sometimes because some of it felt similar. I would not say I was ever to the degree that Queenie was at, but I really understood her, sadly. I feel like everything changed for me when I would start to go out on dates and I'd come back and ask myself, how did this guy treat you? Like you're special. How did that happen? And then if I couldn't name anything, then it was delete and moved on to the next person. And I feel like Queenie learns that slowly through this book. And yeah, I just felt for Queenie and I could relate to a certain degree with the stuff that goes on in this book. I loved this book so much. So yeah, Queenie. And I feel like a lot of people are going to be going, ooh. But oh well, that's my answer. Question number 3. Name a book that represents where you are in your life right now. And it's interesting that I couldn't really find a lot of books about women with babies. But the only one I could think of is Let Me Lie, which, I mean, only the baby part is like me right now. The rest of it is, you know, her seeking out what really happened to her parents who committed suicide. Did they or did they not commit suicide? She's got this like newborn baby. Is it like me at all? No, my parents are alive and well, thank goodness. And only the baby part is like me. But there you have it. Question number 4. Name a book that represents something that has never changed about you. And this was a really hard one to answer. And I have a really lame, strange response to this. And it is, I've always loved ghosts. I have always been so obsessed with the idea of ghosts. My best friend Sonia and I used to play with a Ouija board. We stayed overnight one time when we were old enough, in our 20s at some point. We stayed in a haunted bed and breakfast, which was kind of haunted. I've always been obsessed with ghosts my entire life. And for that, I have The Little Stranger by Sarah Waters. And this follows a family who live in this very grand mansion. It's the turn of the century, I think. And the upper class is crumbling and the middle class is rising. So you meet this doctor who represents the middle class, and he goes to help a maid who has fallen ill at Hunter's Hall. And he meets the family and he becomes kind of a family friend. And there's a ghost at this home. And I really loved this book. Very, very gothic, as Sarah Waters does. And I enjoyed every second of reading that book. I just love ghosts. I always have. It's not very like self-reflective, I wouldn't say, but it's the truth. It's one of the things that has stayed steadfast with me. Question number 5. Name one of your favorite classics. I guess this is because we're old when we're 30. So we're classics now. What happens when you're 40 is what I need to know. Like, are we going to talk about like ancient books? I don't know. But one of my favorite classics is Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte. I've read it twice. The last time I read it, I was giving birth to my daughter, literally listening to this book while I was in labor. And I loved this book, and I loved Jane Eyre much more the second time than the first time. I think the first time I just didn't get her, and the second time I was like, oh, you're fantastic, Jane. This follows a young girl who goes to stay with her aunt and her rather mean cousin, and she you follow the story of her life, basically. You follow her from there to a boarding school to when she becomes a governess, and it's about her life and her character, her quiet character, but her strong character, strong-willed, quiet, wonderful character. I love her so much. Also very gothic. And the last question is, name a book you'd like to read that was published in the year that you were born. So I was born in 1981. And so I scoured GOODREADS trying to find a book that I really wanted to read. And I couldn't find anything. But since this whole coronavirus thing happened, weird segue. Since this whole coronavirus thing happened, there is a Dean Koontz book that people have been talking about that kind of foreshadowed all of this. It's called The Eyes of Darkness, and it was published in 1981. And basically it follows this mother who is grieving the loss of her son, who died from a virus that came out of Wuhan, China. But I think it had biological warfare in it, which is not happening in our scenario. But I would kind of like to read that. Maybe. I'm not hurrying. You know, I'm not like rushing to Amazon to buy it. But I think it's a kind of interesting little coincidence. And that, my friends, is the over 30 book tag. I am not going to tag anyone in this because that suggests that I know their age, and also, and or worse, that I think that they look over 30. What if they're like 25? Not going to do that. Let me know in the comments below what you thought of these books. Slightly uncomfortable with putting the whole Queenie thing out there, but you know, haven't we all been in situations where we have allowed ourselves to be treated a little less than we should have, less well than we should have? I hope you guys are doing well. In the description box below, I'm doing much better at adding things like my Amazon wish list and my Goodreads page, my Instagram, so you can go and check me out on all of those. I cannot believe I'm turning 39 and I am one step closer to 40. Oh my goodness. I still feel like I'm more like 29 than 39. Whew. I'm gonna go have a glass of wine now. Catch you guys later. Bye.